Good morning. Ralph E. Hartman, writing candidate for Congress, 16th District, out here on the Medieval Roadside. This morning I had to make another 911 call. This time it was because around 100 yards away, some persons were loud talk on in front of Savannah Grand retirement residence. Assisted living facility. Well, worrisome comments included a young black-sounding woman who, apparently in front of the place, loudly said uh, how he takes some people out of here, Albert's drunks. And then minutes later, she also said a threat of, we might have put someone in the trash right now. So those are really, those aren't good words to be said in front of a place where people are relying on being cared about. So a few minutes later, a man who sounded uh, white, probably like in his 30s or 40s, wanted to try to intimidate me away from calling police, saying all you were going to do was going to call into what is this police department. So anyway, I went ahead a few minutes later and called 911, spoke to a courteous, pretty nice sounding lady operator, and then as I explained to her that I was on my way to the SCAT bus, that I proceeded soon after. I don't know, about 10 minutes after. It's about 7:30 when when I made the call. So anyway, about Albert, this is what this is about, is to elaborate pertaining to Albert. Uh, well, she apparently, speaking of Albert Hartman, Albert A. Hartman, his middle name was Allen, A-L-L-E-N. Well, the difficulty about him is that he allegedly died back when my father, he allegedly died when I was an 11-year-old in Miami, back in 1967. This is the truth as best as I know it, that back in 1967, near the end of February, I was playing football in the yard between the neighbors named the Garveys and the Barris's house when Mrs. Barris walked out into the yard and said for me to get on my bike and ride home, that there had been a difficulty. And so I got on my bike and rode home. And when I got there, I think that if my memory is correct, I was surprised because relatives from Colorado who hadn't been there were there, and they greeted me by telling me that my father had died. He had been in Baptist Hospital on North Kendall Drive, allegedly because of leukemia. And so anyway, I was surprised. And what happened afterward, of course, is that there was preparation for the funeral, and I attended a service, a chapel that I don't remember the name of, but it was very crowded. There were many attendees, probably 100 or a couple of hundred or more. And I remember his mother attended and his sister, and so then I was a pallbearer, and I was an 11-year-old at that time, and I remember that all the other pallbearers were adult men, and I remember it was very heavy, and so excuse me, slight hiccup, and then we proceeded to Miami Memorial Gardens. It's a cemetery uh, off of on the west side of Palmetto Expressway. I don't remember exactly where, but somewhere north of North Kendall Drive. And I attended the graveside ceremony. And then from then on, all I knew was that it was said that my father had died, that I attended the funeral, and that I was a pallbearer. Okay. Well, many years later, it started to be said that he actually had staged his death and he lived on in secret and that he's a criminal. But I don't know about that. So anyway, there is, it doesn't seem likely, but there is constant monitoring that continues, and they're really a corruption that the people should learn more about, and that I'm hoping the campaign is going to resolve against. They're very arrogant and egotistical, and they insist about having done something to me when I was a kid that is kind of like being tagged to be monitored all the time. So anyway, uh, allegedly Albert Hartman, I don't know that he lives locally, but that he is in the Sarasota area some of the time, and I do have a lot of files about noting against him. Threats that I had encountered in the past included a man who looked like him with an Albert's tree service chipper who looked at me menacingly one day and pointed to the intake of it. Back in near the end of '93 or early '94 on the property of Holy Cross Lutheran Church. And it's just on another occasion I reported before that I saw him driving a tow truck that was designed like the Monster brand cans with the M that looks like a Roman numeral 3 instead. Well, what that reminds me of is that back in 1967, beside Miami Memorial Gardens, there was a big billboard. And because I was still an 11-year-old and I was fairly good with writing, I was always kind of curious about the sign that looked like a triple L, modern age. Well, I learned soon that it was a modern age furniture sign, but the M looked like a Roman numeral 3. So that's what the Monster brand reminded me of. And apparently, what the problem was about the man driving the monster truck that looked like Albert Hartman, but about 30 years, like maybe back in the 60s, was he drove past accusing that when I was a kid, I was obsessed about monsters. So that wasn't true. And so right there, what the man said driving past in the tow truck kind of linked to the modern age sign perplexity from back when I was 11. So that was another worry that I had reported against, actually repeatedly, but without any replies. It could be that that Albert Hartman has had other sons from additional marriages after 1967, and I might be occasionally seeing one or more of them that they very much look like Albert Hartman, and make me think that maybe he is able to look younger somehow. But including maybe driving an ambulance. And so the concerns continue, and that he might be uh, officially employed locally here in Sarasota, but possibly by persons that aren't completely aware of the past that he had staged his death previously. So anyway, as I had previously said, some years ago when I started to learn about him, that that I checked the Miami Memorial Garden site online and found that he isn't listed. So, and that someone alleged that he got involved with some kind of a cemetery recycling business of some kind. So that was another worry. And I just can't continue to elaborate about everything in this, but this is to say that he was also apparently partly involved with some kind of space conspiracy pivoting on the moon. And I really can't possibly elaborate about all that either. But this was to mention that somebody alleged that an Albert was sometimes allegedly drunk about taking people out of the Savannah Grand residence. And if so, that he is at least working partly officially. So I always hope that all the old folks there are just safe and steady. And I'm going to continue to work on these matters and hope that I will be chosen to be the next representative from the 16th district. And I really believe that the people will be glad and become a lot more informed about various matters, and that I could really, even without previous government experience, that I could become a very good representative on behalf of all the various good people here in Sarasota. Thanks, and have a good day.